Hello, welcome, grab a glass of something because today I am reviewing Redemption, the first Ryan Drake novel from Will Jordan, who in some circles is better known as the Critical Drinker. This is a 2012 novel and the first in what is now a 10-book series. Redemption introduces Ryan Drake, ex-SAS, then disgraced by an event on an operation in the past, who is now a shepherd for the CIA, tasked with finding missing agents and, where necessary, making sure they stay missing. Before we look at the plot in any more detail, I'll remind you that you can slide ahead to the point indicated below or use the chapters in the description to skip this section if you'd prefer, but do not consider any part of this review as spoiler-free. The novel begins with a prologue in Iraq where Drake is bleeding out from a gunshot wound and ruminating on what he did to end up in such a sticky situation. Skip back a few days and his exercise routine is cut short by an urgent summons to the CIA where he is offered the opportunity to have his patchy service record wiped clean if he performs a super dangerous mission. A missing CIA agent has been found in a Siberian prison cell and they have a 3-day window to break her out. Drake accepts and puts together a crack team to perform the op. Dietrich, the Russian-speaking paratrooper with whom Drake has a difficult past, Frost the information specialist, Keegan the sniper, and his old pal Cole Mason. They parachute onto the roof of the prison, break out Morass aka Anya the agent, and head back to America. On the way to debriefing, Drake gets a phone call from Monroe, who tells him he has kidnapped Drake's sister, and if he doesn't break Anya out, he's going to kill her. Drake does, learning that Anya and Monroe were former colleagues but now want each other dead. What Monroe wants most, though, is Anya's old contact in Iraq. Despite 4 years in a prison cell, Anya's contact responds and agrees to meet them in Iraq, and they leave America on a stolen passport, in Drake's case at least, travel through Syria, dodge the catch teams, now led by Dietrich, and cross the border into Iraq. No sooner have they caught up with the contact than Monroe catches up with them, and he really likes the sound of his own voice, so he talks quite a lot. Then he kills the contact, but he doesn't want to kill the actual agents until he's talked some more, which, in the way of such things, allows Anya to get the drop on him. But in the course of all his talking, he reveals the whole thing is about Kane, Drake's boss at the CIA, who prior to the invasion of Iraq organised a plot to plant weapons of mass destruction in Iraq to justify George W. Bush's invasion. His contact was also Anya's contact and the guy Monroe killed, and everything from breaking her out to now was part of Kane's plan to kill that guy and clear his tracks. Kane, learning of Monroe's Bond villain fetish, realises that he is clearly intending to talk forever and reveal all of the secrets that he'd arranged this entire thing to keep secret, and he decides that bombing the whole place flat is the only way to get him to shut up. But Frost is the IT specialist, and Monroe, as Kane knows, has the technology to divert the drone strike away anyway. If I was prepared to pay for memes, I'm sure that at this point Iron Man would be saying, "Not a great plan." Naturally, it all goes wrong. Drake and Anya escape, rescue his sister, and Monroe dies. However, Anya, in order to make sure that Drake isn't blamed for anything and doesn't follow her, shoots him and makes her exit. Kane gets away with his scheme due to a lack of evidence and the CIA being a corrupt bunch of jerks. But all Drake's team remain on active duty. Now, the rest of this video is rather difficult to make. I like the Critical Drinkers channel. It's made a handful of videos that are, in the pop culture commentary sphere at least, some of the best YouTube content that I've watched. I don't always agree with his takes, but he's consistently funny, entertaining, and interesting anyway. And perhaps because of that, I expected a book that would be at least 2 of the 3. I did not get that. Ryan Drake is in the same mould as the various protagonists of Andy McNab, Lee Child, Baldacci, Chris Ryan, yet Redemption is little more than a pastiche of their efforts, a mediocre retelling of various parts of their work, knitted together with a thread of cliches. The text is 520 pages long, and that's either a really big ask for a first-time writer or the product of a not very good one. And this feels long, but most importantly, it feels laboured with it, especially when Drake and Anya are on the road together and every stop needs a contrivance to push in an exchange of dialogue over their troubled pasts. The story is staggeringly predictable. Kane's lofty position within the CIA is enough to mark him as the villain of the piece before a page is even turned. And despite their stilted banter, Drake and Anya ending up in bed together, or at least the backseat of a Land Rover, is as predictable as the sun coming up in the morning. The only part of the novel that isn't predictable is the disappearing helicopter that Dietrich and co arrive in when they try to capture Drake in Syria. The Black Hawk makes a lot of noise, so much so that we get this, which is not good in itself, but when Drake breaks out in a 4x4, the helicopter has disappeared, leaving Dietrich and co unable to pursue. McNab and the other people that I mentioned might not be the greatest writers of all time, or even of this time, but they understand that this sort of paramilitary fiction has to move and build towards a finale. But Jordan's final act is a slog, especially when it descends into a Bond farce with Monroe's arrival. Additionally, the kidnapping of Drake's sister is a significant moment for the novel, because Drake's behaviour in busting Anya out of custody is completely out of character, yet nobody, not even Cole or Franklin, who are supposedly good friends, wonder why, or even look into why he would suddenly go against them. Additionally, there are films like Taken and even Ransom as far back in the 1990s, who, like Drake himself, acknowledge the convention here of giving the kidnappers what they want, ending up with the kidnapped dead. I wonder too how many SAS soldiers out there would follow the enemy's orders in the way that Drake does, rather than immediately go on the offensive. And where is the military camaraderie? The SAS is an elite unit, a small group of people that work closely with each other. To get to be in the SAS, you also have to have served a period in another unit. So why does Drake have nobody that he turns to for support? The longer he follows Monroe's plan, the harder this was to read. Part of the issue with the text is the outright misery of both the leads, who seem determined to compete for the title of most wretched backstory. But there is a problem when you're writing a character that, as the author and creator of that character, you begin with a preconceived emotional bond with them and an expectation that what you feel is what your reader will feel. And Jordan seems to think that everyone will share his love for Anya, the badass, sometimes feral goddess of war with the icy blue stare of a predator. But actually, by the end, the fawning over her was beginning to annoy me. She's a killer, Drake. No remorse, no hesitation, no regrets. She doesn't feel emotions like that anymore. She has no loyalty to anyone or anything but herself. She couldn't be stopped, couldn't be reasoned with or persuaded or manipulated as Franklin had. The only thing she wanted me to know is that she lived her life without compromise. She never gave in, never surrendered. I understand that now, and you know what? I would have followed her. And that's before you get into the regular objectification, which normally I wouldn't object to, but for all the critique that Jordan has offered on the state of female heroines in the 21st century, he has crafted just another boring, infallible killing machine. Yes, she has had training and an upbringing that seemed to be mostly fighting rapists. I make no claims of her being a Mary Sue, but it's astonishing how quickly she recovers from her 4-year ordeal in a Russian isolation cell, with its semi-regular interruptions of being raped by the guards. We're told she's malnourished, has by necessity of her 6x8 prison cell been neglecting leg day, but one square meal later, Drake is already fawning over how shapely she is. Drake is so overshadowed in his own book that when he says Drake was involved now, part of Anya's story, it doesn't quite make the point that Jordan was probably hoping it would. For all the grit the novel tries to include, it never feels real. Suffering does not equal character. Jordan tells us how Drake and Anya are comfortable with each other's silence, but also has to contrive that backstory in somehow, and that leads to the worst scene in the book, where they're pressed for time and on an urgent mission, and the previously reluctant to share Anya relates 2 lengthy but irrelevant episodes from her past that are so long Jordan has to relate them in flashback. I've mentioned Monroe a few times because he is a quite dreadful character. Never more than operating on the fringes, he doesn't quite ruin the novel in the same way as not sharing Jordan's affection for Anya. But every line of dialogue from Monroe is a movie bad guy cliche. He has Ryan's sister in Iraq, his 3 targets. As in targets he intends to kill, Anya, Ryan and her contact are on their knees and bound, and yet he talks and talks and talks. He tells Drake that he's going to kill his sister and then sends her back to her cell. Why? What is his thought process there? Proving that bad guys can't learn, won't learn. He twice has Anya down and out for the count and decides to toy with her. Not a great plan the first time it failed. In the ensuing shootout with a drone moving in to bomb the whole site, Drake escapes, finds Dietrich, and needs to explain the bad guy's entire plot. Dietrich races off to find Frost and has to do the same thing again. Now, I'm no military man, but I suspect that in the middle of a life or death situation, if you're told to divert a bomb, you don't really need to know who sent it. Not until you aren't blown up by it anyway. And if the issues with the plot and the characters still leave you on the fence, then as of 2012 at least, Jordan can't write. Some of the examples I've put on screen already may well have given you some idea of that, but this book is staggeringly repetitive. 520 pages is a lot to ask of a new writer, quite an ask of any writer, but when you write like this, it's a lot to ask of your reader as well. It's from two separate scenes, and we get these lines that are very similar, inviting comparison. He finds his eyes drawn to the contrail of some high-flying aircraft, straight as an arrow. Then, high above, she spotted the contrail of some aircraft tracing a line from north to south, straight as an arrow. In the first, Drake is bleeding out in the desert, while in Anya's case, she's recalling a very rare, pleasant moment in her past. But in truth, I don't think that this was an intentional comparison, because as characters, they're the same. Gloomy, sullen, and troubled by past torments, violent killers. After all, she is a predator with icy blue eyes, icy blue boring eyes, or all three in one quote. And if these examples don't prove that the previous one was clearly just repetition through bad writing as opposed to drawing a comparison deliberately, then I'm afraid I have more examples for you. Anya is set apart by those eyes, then as man plus, more than human as a fighter but lacking humanity. Those vivid eyes set her apart. Or they don't. A wise man once said you could tell the quality of a writer by the standard of their metaphors, and we certainly have a good mix here. But what you're seeing develop here is a pattern of repetition, not a character motif like you might find in an epic poem, but repetition because Jordan is writing for writing's sake. It's why the team that go into Russia can't take any American weapons that might be identified, but Drake's knife is standard SAS issue. Or maybe that's just the Americans trying to fuck the British over. Wouldn't be the first time. It's why random men in the desert can predict the future. It's why everything rasps. It's why you get crap like this, which I'm going to read in my tough guy voice because it seems fitting. This is your chance, Ryan. Maybe your only chance. For your sake, I suggest you take it. Drake looked at the surface of the polished table, saying nothing. This was his chance, his only chance. Well, at least he didn't just take his word for it. You get a 520-page novel when you write exchanges like this. Sir, I think I've got something, one of the technicians called out. He was a gangly man with dark hair who Dietrich vaguely remembered as Sinclair. Both men were by his terminal within moments. Talk to me, Dietrich ordered, without preamble. Sinclair gestured to the laptop in front of him. We just got to report him. This is the very definition of writing for writing's sake, because if what you write adds nothing, why did you include it? You can cut everything from something to we and not lose a thing. You might even spare a tree. Or you can say the same thing twice. She wanted to put some miles in, and she intended to do it. The CIA tactical team arrived on site with a screech of brakes and a smell of burned rubber, black-clad figures in body armour piling out of the two vans that had brought them there at top speed. I'm flogging a dead horse, and I want to move on, but I'll just put this here and you can use your pause screen or not. If you think about this for a moment, it'll be a moment more than the author did. She had never liked crowded places at the best of times, and always detested shopping malls. And that feeling had grown stronger in recent years. Yes, Anya has developed a hatred of crowded places in recent years. The 4 years she spent not just in prison, but mostly in isolation. And I'm being charitable because if I was uncharitable, I'd say what grew in that time was detesting shopping malls. Or you could just delete that bit. It's irrelevant because in the example you're giving, the two places are synonymous. Save a damn tree. But when you're a first-time writer and you only have one word for pain, you either need a thesaurus or an editor. Oh, well, you could take most of the examples I've given here if you were extremely charitable. as things an editor worth the money would really have picked up and helped with. In conclusion, with cliched situations, character and dialogue, there is very little reason to read Redemption. It promises to entertain fans of David Baldacci. There may be some crossover of audience, but Baldacci creates characters and Jordan just borrows other people's, with nothing here being very original. The walking, talking Bond villain cliche Monroe might leave you wondering if, in fact, this is a parody, but the dourness of every other part of this book will probably remove your doubt. The final act is a major slog and really does demonstrate that the book is nothing more than the regurgitation of things seen first in other media. It's a crushing disappointment for two reasons. The first and most important is that I'm a fan of the Drinker's Channel and I think he's charming and witty, but this novel is totally devoid of either of those things. Additionally, this was published in this format by a major publishing house, which just goes to show how incompetence and idiocy is ruining the industry. Harry Potter sells, here's 1 million teen wizard books. Twilight sells 1 million vampire books. Hunger Games sells 1 million dystopian YA. Andy McNab sells, well, you get the picture. Zero risks, zero effort. Shame on Random House for taking an aspiring writer and hanging them out to dry like this. But that isn't to absolve the drinker himself from all the blame. There is no reason to read this book unless it's to decide with your friends which cliched line is the worst. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe for more like this. Now, I usually make notes as I read books, and one of the absolute worst lines in this book is not dialogue, it's actually the narrator who says this. Cain could fucking destroy him. And my note to that was, he's certainly able. I'll get my coat. And now I'm going to read you some of my favourite cliches in my tough guy voice for fun, but you can always vote for your favourite in the comments. He was king on this particular chessboard, and he had no time for pawns like Drake. You want me to take my team deep into Russian sovereign territory, infiltrate a high-security prison, find and recover a prisoner whose name I don't even know, and somehow escape with her and make it back to US soil without anyone finding out who is behind it? I said it's possible, in theory, but theories have a tendency to fall apart when you're halfway around the world on a covert mission in a hostile territory, and if this goes wrong, none of us will make it back alive. We plan as a team, we go in as a team, and we come home as a team. He snatched up his coffee and downed the remaining contents in one gulp. Let's get to work. Don't give me excuses. Give me a location. Get on it. Get me aerial coverage of that building. Choppers, satellite, recon, whatever. I want eyes in the sky. Nobody gets out of that fucking place until our attack teams get there. You asked me what my parents were like. I did not tell you because the truth is, I can barely remember them. My life was different then. I was different. All I see is flashes, like a camera, little moments printed on my memory. Drake leaned back in his chair, taking several moments to digest everything he'd heard. He felt as if he'd just landed in some cheap spy novel. Well, clearly it wasn't this spy novel, because this one will cost you $11.99 on Amazon. $11.99! Anyway, that's all I've got.